If we're given the list of numbers 6, 3, 2, 3 and 1, we summarise this list using averages. The mode is the number or thing that comes up the most. In our list there are a couple of 3's, so the mode is 3. The mode is great for situations you want to find the most popular of something. Mode is also the only average that works with words as well as numbers. The mean is found by adding up the numbers then dividing by the amount of numbers. 6 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1 is 15. There are 5 numbers, so what we'll do is 15 divided by 5, which will give us a mean of 3. The mean is so popular in real life that actually we use the word average normally to describe the mean. The great thing about the mean is that it includes every number in the calculation. If we added a 20 to the list, the mean would increase, yet the mode would stay the same. The median is known as the middle number. Be careful though, the numbers must be in order of size. We normally write the numbers from smallest to largest, but we could write them from largest to smallest if we were feeling a bit rebellious. When we have ordered them, 1, 2, 3, 3, 6, we will then cross out the smallest and largest number, the 1 and the 6. We will continue to cross out the smallest and largest numbers until we're left with one number. Our median will be 3. The median is fantastic at getting rid of extreme values. Imagine you're finding the average wage of a 5-person company. 4 people make £20,000 a year, but the boss makes £10 million a year. Would it be fair to say the average wage is over £2 million? The median would cross out the boss at step 1, which will give a much more representative average of £20,000. The range is not an average. Averages have a goal of writing a single number that represents lots of values. The goal of the range is to give a single value that represents the spread of the data. It does this by subtracting the smallest value from the largest. The largest value in our list is 6, the smallest is 1, so the range will be 6 minus 1, which is 5. The smaller the range, the more consistent the data is. Imagine you're playing a computer game. If your score has a range of 2, that means the best game was very similar to your worst game. If our numbers are now 2, 3, 2 and 3, the averages become a bit more tricky to calculate. The mode is now conflicted between 2 and 3, since there are 2 of each. In this case, we could say there is no mode, or you could say there are 2 modes. When you have 2 modes, we call this bimodal. The mean will be the sum of the numbers, 10, divided by the amount of numbers, 4. This will give us the mean as a decimal, 2.5. Don't worry though, the mean is often a decimal. The median seems like it will be straightforward. We order the numbers 2, 2, 3, 3, then cross out the smallest and largest, the 2 and the 3. Next we cross out the next 2. Oh, we've just crossed out all the numbers. When we're left with 2 numbers in the middle, we add them together and divide by 2. 2 plus 3 is 5, divided by 2 gives us a median of 2.5. The range will be the largest, 3, take away the smallest, 2. The range is 1. Most problems involving averages involve us working backwards from the average to find the raw data. Imagine we have 5 envelopes which contain the numbers 4, 7, 9, 3 and 4. A mystery envelope is added and the mean of the numbers is now 5. We must find out what number is in the mystery envelope. We calculated the mean earlier by the sum of numbers over the amount. We can rearrange this to make it the sum of numbers equals the mean times the amount. The mean is 5 and the amount is 6. 5 times 6 is 30. We now know the numbers add up to 30. We can now take away the numbers we know to leave the mystery number. So 30 take away the 4 plus 7 plus 9 plus 3 plus 4 will give us 3. The mystery envelope contains the number 3. My favourite averages question involves us not knowing any of the numbers. 5 numbers have a mode of 10, a median of 12, a range of 20 and a mean of 15. To figure out what the numbers are, we need to think about which average will give us our first number. We know that the median will always be the middle number, so if we write the numbers in order of size, then the third number must be 12. So far we've got blank blank 12 blank blank. The mode must be in this list at least twice, but we know that there are only 2 numbers less than 12, because the median number must be the third in the list. We therefore must have 2 10s. So our list is now 10, 10, 12, blank blank. The range is the distance from the smallest number to the largest. We already know the smallest number is 10, so adding on the range, the largest number must be 10 plus 20, which is 30. So we now have the list 10, 10, 12, blank, 30. In the previous problem, we found that the sum of the numbers is the mean times the amount. The mean is 15 and the amount is 5, so the sum must be 15 times 5, which is 75. Take away the numbers we know from 75, 75, take away 10 plus 10 plus 12 plus 30, and the final number must be 13. So our final list is 10, 10, 12, 13, 30. When we have a lot of data, it is often much easier to put it into a frequency table. You could remove all the data from the table back into a list if you wish, but there are a few methods to find averages when they're in a table that would be much quicker. The mode is simply the number that came up the most. Look for the largest frequency. On the table, this would be 12. This 12 shows us that 0 goals came up 12 times. If we were to write this as a list, we would write the number 0 12 times. The mode therefore is 0 since it has the highest frequency. To find the mean, we need to first calculate the sum of the numbers. We can't simply add the 0, 1, 2 and 3 because if we look at the number 2 for example, the frequency is 3. So this number would come up 3 times if we wrote it as a list. We must therefore add a column to our table to find the sums of each number. 0 has a frequency of 12, so there are 12 zeros on the list. These would add up to 0. 1 has a frequency of 6, so there are 6 ones on the list. These would add up to 6. 2 has a frequency of 3, so there are 3 2s on the list. This would add up to 6. 3 has a frequency of 1, so there is a single 3 on the list. To find the total sum, or sum of FG, we can add all these together. 0 plus 6 plus 6 plus 3, giving us a sum of 15. To find the amount, we add up the frequencies. 12 plus 6 plus 3 plus 1, which gives us 22. The mean is the sum over the amount, so 15 over 22, which is 0.68 to 2 decimal places. The median can be a little tricky when working with data in a table. There is a nice little formula that you can use to help you though. If you add 1 to the frequency, then halve it, it will tell you where the median is. For our data, we have 22 values. Add 1 gives us 23, then halve it gives us 11.5. Because we have a decimal, we're going to be looking at the 11th and 12th values. Looking at the table, the first 12 values are 0, so the 11th and 12 must be 2. So the median is 0. The range is the largest, take away the smallest. Be careful not to accidentally look at the frequencies. The range doesn't care how many there are of each value, it just cares about which is the biggest and smallest. The biggest is 3, the smallest is 0, so the range is 3 take away 0, which is 3. As soon as we group data, it is impossible for us to write out the data as a list anymore. Our first group for this table is that t is greater than or equal to 0 or less than 10, which I'm going to say from now on is 0 to 10. But perhaps all values in it are 4. Maybe we have some 1s and the rest are zeros, who knows? We should also briefly discuss the groups. 0 to 10 means that all the data in the group is between 0 and 10. It can include 0 because if you look at the inequality sign, it has a little equals underneath it, but it can't include 10 because again, if you look at the inequality sign, it doesn't have the little equal sign. So 99.9 would go in this group, but 10 would not. We are no longer interested in finding the mode, since we no longer know what the exact data is. We will now be looking for the modal class. Class is a fancy way of saying group. We are looking at which group came up the most, as in which has the highest frequency. 20 to 30 has a frequency of 82, which is more than the other groups, so the modal class is 20 to 30. We are also unable to find the mean. Instead, we estimate the mean. This doesn't mean that we take a guess, it just means that we have to make a few assumptions. For the previous frequency table, we multiplied the number of goals by the frequency to find the sum. For this grouped table, we cannot multiply the time by the frequency because the time is written as a group. We need to find a number that can represent that group. It would be unfair to assume the numbers in the first group are all zeros, since they're probably all more than 0. A better estimate of all the values is the halfway point, or midpoint. If the midpoint isn't obvious for a group, we can add the smallest and largest numbers of the group together and halve it. So for our first group, 0 plus 10 is 10, then halve it is 5. So we will assume all the numbers in the first group are 5. We can then do 5 times 62 and find the sum of the first group as 310. We will do this for the other groups and find that the sum of fx is 3805. When we have filled out the table, we will do the same steps we did in the frequency table. We will find the amount by adding up the frequencies, so 62 plus 45 plus 82 plus 22 gives us 211. The mean is the sum over the amount, so 3805 over 211, which is 18.03 to 2 decimal places. We can't find the median, but you'll normally be asked to find the group or class interval that contains the median. Using our location formula, we'll do 211 plus 1, giving us 212, then divided by 2, giving us the median as the 106th value. We know that the first 62 values are in the first group. Adding 62 and 45 gives us 107, meaning the 107th value is the last one in the second group. This means that the 106th value is in the second group, so the median is in the group 10 to 20. We can find the range, but you need to know that we're finding the largest possible range or the smallest possible range. The maximum range is the largest possible value, take away the smallest possible value. The largest possible value will be 40. I know that technically it's 39.9 recurring, but this is the same as 40, so please just choose 40. And the smallest possible value will be 0. The maximum range will be 40 take away 0, which is 40. The minimum range will use the smallest that the largest number can be, which is 30, because the 22 values in the last group could have all been 30. The largest possible smallest number would be 10, so the minimum range will be 30 take away 10, which is 20.